So Texas Mill Road has failed, Wasuta has failed, and I don't want to repeat that kind of, just throw money at it. The starting point to deal with Wasuta at Texas Mill Road is to address the problem of the water storm, which is why right now, and I invite you to check the job I started around the teacher's house. We are now dredging a new canal, you know, like the old moat that will take water all the way from Uselu all the way to Ogba River. Once we complete that project, then we will channel other secondary drains into that primary drain, and water will then flow, and the whole of that area will be deflooded. Right now, if you go to Wasuta, you wonder what Usubo did there. Money down the drain. The road, terrible. Worse than it was before. Texas Mill Road, you pass through it now, it's almost not motorable. Reason, they did not do any drain. So now, all the roads we are doing, we insist that it must have drainage, both sides, and that drainage must lead to somewhere, okay, so that it flows out. That leads to the question, why are we covering it? Okay. It's a good question. First, it's much more costlier that we are covering them. It will be much cheaper to leave them open. Now, we found that when they were open, people throw all sorts of things into the drain, and then they get seated up. And once it is seated up, it doesn't flow. Once it doesn't flow, all the money used on it is lost. When you cover it, people can't throw things into it. Right. And hopefully, it could still get seated if a couple of other things are not done. But you will find that at regular intervals, we have manhole, which when it gets seated, you open them up, and then you can clean it, and then you cover it back. That way, we think that we are able to guarantee better flow of the flood water than was the case when those drains were open. You see, in designing policies, you must take into account the attitude and the character of your people. Policy from the behavior of human beings. And that is why they say one drug doesn't fit all. What works in UK may not work in Edo. So we have looked at the behavior of our people. We've seen, okay, we can do a lot of campaigns, but we still can see. I mean, people simply don't know that when they throw sugar cane, they throw corn, they throw pure water sachet, that they are doing damage. And how many are we going to arrest? So that is the way we are doing that. But we have manholes that will be opened up and we'll be able to clean up. So Texas Mill Road, Wasuta Road, and several other ones, we have to do the drainage, which is already on. And I'm sure if you go to teacher's house now, you will see the depth of that drainage. It's almost 7 meters deep. And it's going all the way, spanning over 7 kilometers. You know, once we do that, we will be able to deal with the problem of those areas. Now, youth and land. This one, I think this is more of the result of lack of planning. In the 21st century, it is unacceptable that people just allocate land, communities sell land and all that. Land is vested in the government of the state. And the Constitution provides for how the land can be used, the Land Use Act. So a lot of those activities are illegal. And as you rightly pointed out, they create a lot of frustration on the part of those who want to develop. It also leads to uncoordinated development pattern, which in future will lead to flooding, and it will affect the issue of proper planning and cleaning of those places. So right now, I have asked the Ministry of Works and Ministry of Land and Survey to revisit all those neighborhoods. Stop people from selling what do not belong to them. Under the land user, you can't sell land. We will properly acquire those areas. We will give compensation where there are economic trees and where there are community interests, and the government will properly allocate the land, you know, provide services like roads, water, electricity, and then allocate it to those who want to develop. And of course, we will put security in place to prevent those unemployed people who now masquerade as youths and so on. When youths prevent people from building, I say to them, that is the best proof that you are not a development association. There is no youth that should be opposed to development. Exactly. Somebody want to build a house and you say you cannot build it. Then what do you want? Meanwhile, we need to build more houses in order to reduce the challenges of homelessness. If rich people build new houses and they move out of the old ones, other people can move into those ones. Now, no youth who is truly a genuine youth that is for development that should block people who want to build their homes. But government will have to deal with it in a more program manner. Right now, there's a lot of disconnect. I mean, people are just doing whatever they like. They won't be able to do that for too long. Okay.
Then the third question, the financial situation of the state.
What is the financial burden?
Now, we are better off than the federal government. And let me talk a little more arrogantly. Because first, we're able to implement the minimum wage where the federal government couldn't. Okay. And you look at our budget for last year, 2011, I will be able to release the figures by the end of January. It will show that for every 1 naira that Edo State earn, we spend about 60 kobo on physical capital project and only about 40 kobo on recurrent expenditure. Whereas at the federal level, they spend 80% on recurrent and 20% on capital. And that 20% is borrowed. It's not from their regular earnings. So Edo State, if Edo State is broke, the federal government is already finished. So I don't think the CBN said that. It is true that we could be a lot better having regard to the challenges on ground. Okay. We need more money because the rate at which we are moving, it will take us many more years to build all the schools that we want to build all the roads, to clean up Benin City, to solve the problem of flooding. We are spending 30 billion on one canal and about 10 roads that we're going to do around that area. Complete with street light, walkways, etc. And we have about 5, 6, 7 other bases like that. So to be able to fix Benin, we need about maybe up to 200 billion. Now, if we have more resources, we'll do much more faster than we are able to do currently. Now, to measure that we are not broke, when we decided as governors not to accept the money the federal government put to the revenue at the FAC because they had deducted 260 billion naira, representing almost 40% of the total earnings of the government, and they claim that they use that to subsidize for 1 month. We didn't agree with the figures, and so we said we are not going to share what was put on the table. And those state government share of that 260 billion was over 34 billion. And we said, no, we are going to. And as a result, many state governments, including the federal government, was unable to pay salaries. But I'm proud to say that Edo State pays salaries as if we have received our federation account. The implication, however, of that is that money, we could have used it to pay for capital projects, etc. So overall, we face huge financial challenges, but we are not down. But we can do a lot better.
All right.
And the bond we took, and you can review, I watch NTA, ITV News quite regularly, and NTA as well. You know of all our neighbors.
No, I'm from EBS, sir.
EBS.
AIT
more, because you do this national thing. You will find that all our neighbors, I would not like to mention their name, they've taken bonds of 100 billion, 75 billion. These are people who are derivation states who earn 10 times what Edo State earned. We took only 25 billion, and from last December we have been paying 530 million every month out of that into a Siki fund. And by this December we have already paid back over 7 billion out of the 25. And so every month we are paying, because nobody will lend you unless you demonstrate that you have the capacity to pay, and you start paying immediately. You know, so whether at the federal level or at the state level, we are the least borrowed. Above all, we are able to service those debts convincingly. And so when I see people say they are borrowing for the future, every money that we borrow, we are paying now. We are paying now.
All right.
But let me also tell you, and people need to know this. Do you know that every month, Edo State pays as much as 100 million plus on debts incurred during the military, during Ogbemudia, and during previous governments? Those debts, we are still paying them. I've just told you at the federal level, they borrowed in trillions from them. So there is no government anywhere in the world that doesn't borrow. What is important is, are you borrowing to pay salaries? That will be wasting money. Are you borrowing to do festivals? That will be wasting money. If you borrow to do road, which leads to improvement in the economic activity, that is positive borrowing. So sometimes it's not so much about did you borrow, what did you use it to do, and can the people see it? Now the challenge of the federal government, which President Jonathan is trying to address, which is why I thought he needed our support, is that he's saying, and it is true, they are now borrowing to sustain overhead. So you are not borrowing to invest, and you can't sustain that for too long.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade. The fact that questions that we're asking, they are joint questions, maybe 3-4 together, also provides us the opportunity to allow you to talk for a longer period of time.
But I still have one question.
Yes, I know. we will take the questions in between the phone calls that are coming in. Then we'll also appeal to you, Comrade, to just give maybe very summarized answers so that we're able to
that's fine.
Take more. Because I know there are millions of people out there who want to ask 1 or 2 questions. And while we're expecting the lines to be open now, you will go ahead with the question. But the number that we will give to you to contribute to this question, to this program, is 070-4216-3171. I hope our graphics people have already display that number now, so you can quickly write it down and call. Ask your questions, be brief, be objective, and above all, turn down the volume of your TV set to remove the echo, because if the echo is there, we can't hear you, can't hear us, and so we'll just take it off the line. So please ensure that you turn down the volume of your TV set so we can hear you loud and clear enough. Then again, do not cast aspersion on anybody. Just be as objective as possible based on what we have been doing here in the last couple of minutes. So before the call starts coming, you are ready with your next question?
Yes,
but I want to know, Comrade, sir, what is the debt profile of Edo State with all these lofty things that you told us about? You didn't specify. How much is Edo State owing?
I did. I've just done that.
Edo State is not owing. Is that what you're saying?
We took, went to the bond market. We raised 45 billion. And out of that, as I said, we have already paid about 7 billion. And if you net that, it means 7 minus 25. We're talking about 80 billion. And by January, it will drop.
We have a first caller.
So on and so forth.
We have a first caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Oshiomhole.
Honorable Simon, please go ahead.
I have to greet you, sir, the Comrade governor, for the good work you are doing. So, my question, not to waste time, about the youth development fee that they are collecting, sir. I want you to throw more light and work on it speedily, because they are really discouraging people from developing in the state, or may I say your state. Thank you, sir.
I was talking about the development fees they are collecting.
That she talked about a while ago, yeah.
Okay, by these private people.
Yes,
yeah, right.
These so-called development associations.
Well, as I said, you're absolutely right. I made the point that we should encourage all those who want to own houses to do so. Government should encourage and provide the enabling environment, because one of the crises facing Nigeria is crisis of homelessness. Okay. Too many people don't have comfortable homes. Like I said, we are going to clean up the process. I have already asked the Ministry of Land and Survey. We put a commissioner here who is a lawyer and he knows what needs to be done. And we'll ask him to clean up the system. We're also going to create a new layout.
Okay.
We're going to create a new layout in New Benin City, and we'll provide land, roads, water, electricity. We'll tie the roads, and we'll then allocate those, allocate plots for people who want to build, and we'll provide security and ensure that they are not harassed.
What about private developers?
Now, those private developers who are
so many of them coming up in
they are being
encouraged.
encouraged. We provide them with land, and of course we sort out issues of compensations. So these people who are doing
causing
extortion,
problems, yes,
preventing people from building homes, demanding money, selling one land to 2, 3, 5 persons, and making an earned income, collecting rent in the process. As I said, we are already focusing on it.
We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, yeah, good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, I'm Moringi Jackson on the line, calling from Comrade Road.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to commend the governor for the wonderful work he's doing in Edo State. I want to make a contribution concerning the drains that are being clogged. If we put waste bins at every 500 meters and we campaign against throwing papers, dirt on the floor, I think it will help preventing the clogging of the drains. We don't have waste bins on the road, so we don't know if you have a piece of paper, where do you throw it away? We should put waste bins first, then campaign to put your dirt in the waste bin. I think it will prevent clogging of the drains. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a contribution.
My question is...
He's absolutely right. We have to sustain a enlightenment campaign, and encourage the people to use the dustbins and all that. He's absolutely right.
Okay. My question is, the opposition party are claiming that the development in the education sector is partly funded by the state government. They're claiming that the state government pays 60% of the UBE funds. I want to know if it is a new development or if it has been, and how has the state government managed those funds in doing what it is doing in the education sector?
All right, well, as I said, our opponents are in trouble. As I say, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all the time. The UBE has been a national project. We all agree as a nation that every child should have access to free basic education, regardless of the economic circumstances of the parents. I announced when I assumed office that for 6-7 years, PDP-led Edo State government, up to when I assumed office on November 12, 2008, that successive PDP government, for reasons best known to them, refused to take advantage of the UBE program. I said so. Okay. And that one of the first things I did, I found that, for example, we have had almost 2.5 billion naira to the credit of Edo State government, but which you can only access if Edo State government was ready to provide the counterpart funding of 2.5 billion. Okay. And I told Edo people, I have raised the 2.5 billion naira so as to be able to collect the federal counterpart fund of 2.5, making a total of 5 billion. And when I raised the money, I couldn't spend it because the PDP-dominated House of Assembly blocked us from spending it, because under the law, we must have a universal basic education board to be able to spend such resources. And I was proud of the fact that that was the very first decision I took, and that it was shocking that PDP government refused to take advantage because they were not willing to contribute the counterpart funding. So I don't know what the argument is. Now, in fact, like I told somebody, the more reason, I don't like to talk in this manner, but the more reason we should stone them, I use the word stone them, if they know that there was such money, that for every 1 naira they could contribute, they could attract federal government 1 naira, and that they will not contribute that 1 naira because they would rather put it in their pocket. So today, Edo State government contribute our counterpart funding, it is 50-50. It is 50-50. And it is not only Edo State, it's 36 states of the Federation.
And not 60-40 as they are claiming.
No. That is because, you see, they are allergic to truth. It is 50-50. You know, I told somebody that Danobi is my best friend, and I like him. You know why I like him? He's the politician who will say, you see this ITV, it is located in Abeokuta. Even when himself is here, he will tell you that it's in Abeokuta, even when every person can see where it is located. So I like politicians like that who, when they talk, most responsible people will just laugh it off. So, I repeat, I myself criticized the previous PDP government for not taking advantage. I never hid the fact that this was the case. So it is 50-50. But the thing is that they also collected some. I said they didn't collect for about 5 years, but they collected some. The problem they have today, and I ask you, I can show the schools, the schools we have built, primary schools that we have built with the JOD funding. Let them show us the one they built. But they also built. The thing is that they just use the opportunity to take money and share to party leaders. We insist it must be used for the primary purpose. So it is 50-50 funded, and it's not anything that we are ashamed of. We are very proud of it, and it is open to the 36 states. Number two, the secondary schools are 100% Edo State funded. I take it again, the secondary schools are 100% Edo State government. The primary schools under the UBE are 50-50. But you cannot get the federal government 50 unless you provide, and that is what they were not willing to do. And I've said to people, you know, one of the campaigns they had against me was that Edo State should be in the mainstream. Now, you are in the mainstream, PDP state government. You are in the mainstream, Abuja federal government is PDP government. And yet you could not go and pay the counterpart funding so that you can collect this money and build school for our children. That borders on wickedness and recklessness. So I am proud of the fact that every kobo that accrues under that scheme, I make sure we raise the counterpart funding and bring the money to Edo and use it for schools people can see. Okay.
Well, I'm afraid we actually thought we had more time to talk. I'm sure we've done more than 2 hours already.
No, but I'm not tired though.
We have other programs that will come. We actually
we'll pay you for your airtime.
Okay. My GM is
let the people
listening.
Interrogate their governor.
Okay, so we have more time added, and of course the
so there are
necessary
more
will be
questions.
done. So more questions will be added.
Yes.
Okay.
Governor, sir. He's setting.
But I think we should allow more calls to come in from the people that are watching. But you can take your turn while we expect the calls. We're taking more calls now, please. More calls.
It is certain that you're going to fly the flag of your party come July 14, 2012. May we know how prepared you are to take up that challenge.
Like I said, in 2007, people voted for me on the basis of my reputation as a labor leader. That we stood up to engage a general who thought no one can question his judgment. And we did that. On the basis of that reputation, people voted for me. For 2012, it will not be based on my reputation as labor leader. It will be based on my performance as a Edo State governor. And you know, the thing about multi-party system is that you make choices on the basis of comparison. So the campaign started the day we started building schools, building hospitals, building roads. And those caterpillars working are doing the campaign. Those contractors building schools, they are doing the campaign. Those people building the central hospital, they are doing the campaign. So what we are going to do is not campaign. We are going to do what Professor Moroyi told me we will label voter mobilization. We just need to mobilize the voters to vote either for what is good or vote against what is good.